This is another episode of Design Detox with Deondra. Yo, we got my guy here, Rob. And hey, man, it's hard to say your last name.
Branscombe.
Yeah, I can't get it, but man, I'm not going to introduce him other than just his name. We're just kind of going to dive in and get to know you a little bit, man,
Okay.
like where you're at currently. And then we'll make our way down to some past.
Yeah.
How did we become who we are today?
Gotcha.
And as everybody know, like the design detox with DeAndre, like everything's not about the design. Everybody, people come to me for design work, and it's always deeper than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like what makes somebody is their past and their person.
Right.
So I like to kind of focus on some of that, and we'll, of course, because you're here, design is related a little bit because you came to me for some design, of course,
Sure.
but we'll get into all that, man. But explain to people, like, I guess, who you are, what you do, what's your title.
Yeah. So I own my wife and I together. We own Hometown Roofing out of Greenbrier, and you know I've been in the roofing industry for about 7 years now, and started off as just a project manager, sales guy, and working for other people. You get to know them, you get to know who they are, and man, I had a really I was really good at sales, and really successful at that, but didn't really necessarily care about selling for somebody that didn't care about me, and so did that for about 2.5 years, 3 years, something like that, and it just got to a point of, man, I was always away from home, away from my family, away from them, while the owners of the company, they sat at home and they wasn't available and stuff. And so anyway, I would say that God led me to start Hometown Roofing.
Okay.
And because I wanted to do something different in the industry. I wanted to be available. I didn't care. It wasn't just about the paycheck at the end of the day, and it wasn't about putting on as many roofs as we could possibly put on. It was about doing the right thing, being fair and responsible to the homeowners, and making sure that they got what they were told they were going to get,
Right.
instead of just being another number, So,
Right.
so in this industry, a lot of times you have people that, in the industry, owners, companies, all they care about is just the next job. We want to make sure that everybody feels like we care about them, and we're going to do the right thing for them. So,
Right. So that's what hometown
yeah,
all about.
yeah. So Hometown Roofing is, our slogan is saving hometowns one roof at a time, right? So, but when you look at that word saving, it's actually a little bit different. It goes a little bit deeper, because our faith is very important to us, and that word saving, when we go into a home and we're talking to homeowners, if they have a need, if they need prayer, if they've got something they're going through, we train our guys to actually get to know their homeowners. And if they've got something going on, we want to be there and help them and be available to them, to help them walk through life. Because life, man, a roof is a roof, but life is real, right? That's what
That's
I think.
right, man.
So,
Wow.
so everybody's going through something. And we want to be there to help them go through those things.
Wow, man. Just not about roofs,
Nope.
man. That's cool, man. I'm really curious, and I know everybody else is listening here. Like, when you said, can you give us an example of what you're
Sure.
talking about?
I mean,
Like,
there's,
okay.
we've, I would say out of the last 3 years that we've been in business, we put on about 1,500 roofs. And I would say probably 100 to 150 of those at least, there's been homeowners going through cancer, or there's been, lost their daughter in a car accident, or, we just recently put on a roof for a homeowner who, we put their roof on, and then 2 weeks later, the husband passes away.
Wow.
And we not only do we walk through them with that, but we walk through them after that with them after that, so we're following up with them, we're checking on them, we're praying with them, we're doing those things. So there's always opportunities. We look for opportunities to serve in other ways other than just the roof.
Wow.
But I would say there's countless opportunities that we've had to, especially with cancer. I know that there's been a lot of homeowners that's been diagnosed with cancer and they're going through chemo, and and we're able to sit at their kitchen table and we're able to pray with them and we're able to just be available to them. So
wow.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And there's always, there's been a couple of times where some spiritual needs have been needed, and we've been able to help them walk through life with them and provide some spiritual guidance with them too. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that.
That's definitely cool. Like, how do you transition and think about to do it that way? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah. So, for me personally, I grew up in I would call it a religious home. Okay.
Right.
We went to church all the time, but there was something, and I don't know if it was me or if it was just the way I was raised, but it was always, we did it out of duty. We went to church out of duty. It wasn't it wasn't a desire thing. And so it was more about a religion and not a relationship, if that makes sense.
I know what you're saying. So
something was missing with me. And until I got my relationship right with God, then I didn't know how to pursue anything really in life. It took me getting that relationship. So we focus on building relationships as God wants to build a relationship with us. That's the way we focus on things, And so I guess it's more about that relationship and not a religious side of things. But having a conversation like we're having right now, a lot of people are introverts and they don't know how to have a conversation. And I think our culture kind of, with all the social media stuff, and I love social media, but like, you have to be face to face with people to build relationships with them. And I think that's what's been missing, and so we really try to be, we really try to have those relationships and be face to face with people.
I see what you're saying.
So,
man, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Keeps falling.
Oh, it is. So
yep.
Right here.
Tighten it. Yep.
Yep.
Here we go.
That worked. So, man, this is really good. What else you got going on? Okay, hometown and
yeah. So I mean, hometown roofing. Like I said, we just started our 4th year. To be 100%, my wife and I, being the business owners together in it, we spend a lot of time talking about hometown roofing. We have a hard time finding balance, doing other stuff, I'll be honest with you. But, I tell people all the time, we're still kind of in the infant stage of this business.
Definitely,
really. Yeah. So, we're just starting our 4th year. So if you look at it as, you're growing up, man, we're still young.
Exactly.
But what we have learned here, man, is in the last probably 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, is that we had to get away from basically being the ones that did everything, being the technician. We talked about the book, The E-Myth Revisited. Yeah. So about how, I felt like I had to be involved with everything. Mm-hmm. And now we've got people that work for us that can handle those things, and we just have to kind of oversee it.
That's right.
And so anyway, that's with the business stuff. Got a 22-year-old son, and he is wanting to get married in December, and so he's starting to see what real life's all about.
That's right.
Got a daughter. She's 15. She'll be 16 in 2 weeks, and so
wow.
She'll get to start driving, and, she's excited about that. Mm-hmm. But, there's not a whole lot that we have that's going on right now. We love to travel. My wife and I love to travel and do things and stuff. But,
hometown, family, travel.
Yeah.
and God.
And
That's
God,
that's
yeah,
it, man.
yeah, you know.
Ain't nothing wrong with it, man.
No. Just
I like
enjoying
it.
life. We're in a season of life where, you know, 30 years ago, I graduated 30 years ago this year, and high school. And if you'd asked me 30 years ago, would you ever have thought that you would own a business? And I would have been like, absolutely not. But here we are, you know,
Wow.
and it's good. It's really good.
That's good, man. I'm glad you just said that. That's just the perfect transition. Let's go to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we know where you are at now,
Mm-hmm.
but 30 years ago,
Yeah.
what was life like?
30 years ago, grew up in hometown, grew up in Greenbrier, graduated high school, played football, you know. Didn't really take school serious, just was going to school just because so I could play football. That's the only
Wow.
reason I was trying to pass class, was so I could be on the
Play
football team, play
football.
football. I enjoyed those times, you know. And I was just, you know, I was an average student, but I always had a passion for people, you know, and so even back then, you know, and my mom would always tell me, your good intentions are going to get you in trouble. And I always questioned that, because I always wanted to help people, even if it meant that I got took advantage of a lot of times, you know.
Wow.
But anyway, so that's kind of the heart that I had. But I would say 30 years ago, man, I was just I think the word is ignorance. Just, you know, because what you don't know, what you don't know.
That's right.
Right. And I didn't really take life serious. You know, I was just kind of a laid back, whatever happens type of guy, you know, and wasn't one to, other than on the football field, wasn't one to really go after things, you know, just kind of reserved and not to go after things.
Man, just thinking a little deeper, being older, 30 years forward, do you think that came from something in particular?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that a lot of that came from man, that's a great question. We're going to go deep here. Okay?
Oh, man.
So
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. So, when I was 2 years old, between 1 and 2 years old, my dad and my biological mom left. And so up until the time I was like 9 years old, it was me and my dad, right? I didn't have a mother figure in my life.
Wow.
And so, you know, and I think that's probably why I was such a people pleaser, trying to please people, because I didn't want anybody to leave.
Wow.
You know, and so, you know, the fear, the insecurities that
man.
I had, you know, and so absolutely that I think a lot of stuff up until probably even 2 years ago was driven by that.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it just affected my life to that point, because, you know, I just had a fear of being alone. You know, even though my dad got married when I was 9, and my stepmom, who is my mom, man, she's awesome. She's great, you know, and she's there. Matter of fact, I was on the phone with her when I was walking in the door coming in here.
wow.
You know, that's who I was on the phone with. You know, I mean, we're close, but you know, I just had that fear and that insecurity that, you know, people were just going to leave, because that's what happened to me when I was younger. You know, and so anyway, so yeah, I think a lot of times in life we're driven by fear, but that's not what life has to be about.
Right.
You know, we got to get to that point. And I finally, like I said, probably 2 years ago, got to that point. I was like, okay, enough of this. You know. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, when did that change?
so a little over 2 years ago, I was in addiction of alcohol. You know, up until now, I would say when I got married, which would have been 25 years ago, it'll be 26 years in July. When I got married, I knew that if I was going to marry my wife, that I was going to have to quit drinking. I was drinking at that point. I was hiding it, you know, and all that stuff. But I was drinking at that point. And it was never drinking just to have a social drink. It was always because I didn't want to feel, you know, all the stuff that I had built up in my life from my mom leaving and just stuff that happened.
Followed you.
Yeah, it followed me this whole time, you know.
Wow.
So it was one of those things. But I quit drinking, and whenever my wife and I got married, and I didn't drink for 20 years. Didn't touch, you know, I might have had a beer or two in 20 years or something like that, you know. But after, you know, and then my dad got sick, and his and I relationship was pretty tumultuous. It it was always on, well, like walking on eggshells with him and all that. But so whenever he got sick and he passed, man, I just went in a tailspin. I started drinking again, and it was like I picked up where I left off 20 years prior, you know, and it got worse. And so I found myself in addiction. You know, all I cared about was drinking as much as I could drink and just not feeling anything. That's what it was for me. So about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, there was basically a line drawn in the sand, you know, and we need those from time to time. Right. Those are healthy things. And as I'm looking back, I'm like, man, that's the best thing probably could ever happen to me is a line got drawn in the sand by my wife. And she said, "Come on, wife, you've got to do something different." And and obviously I love my family. I love my wife. I love my kids. And I said, I don't want to lose them. And so I had to decide, was alcohol more important? Was it going to be more important than my family? But for the truth of the matter is I had to decide, was it more important to die an alcoholic or get healthy for myself? Because it had to be about what I needed, not necessarily about what everybody else needed, but what was best for me. Kind of sounds selfish, but if I get healthy, everything else around me gets healthy, right? And so 2 years ago, man, I was a little over 2 years ago. I was laying in bed and felt like I was having a heart attack because I hadn't had a drink in about 12 hours. And my wife had drawn a line in the sand, and I ended up having to ask her to take me to the hospital. Wow. And because I thought I was about to have a heart attack. Fortunately for me, everything checked out okay. And I started the very next day, I started a program that I'm still involved with today. And it's a very important program to me because it's all about living life. It's a way of living. It's, I'll just say it. We're not supposed to promote it. But it's AA, and it's based on attraction rather than promotion is what we tell people. But it's a place where you can go and be. That's right. And that's all. You don't and so I got in that program 2 years ago, and man, it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life because it has given me a new way to live life. Through that process, I've done some other things to get rid of all the hurts that I've had in my life, all the fears that I've had in my life. And so, so now I get up in the morning and I can breathe. I'm free. I don't have anything holding me back anymore. That's good. And so, it's very important to me that I continue to have that mindset of living that way, because I don't want to go back, man, because the freedom that I have now in life, it's not about the money. It's about just being able to get up and breathe and not have to have the anxiety and the hurt and the fears and all that stuff because of what was done to me in the past. All that stuff has been healed, and God has healed it. There's no doubt.
That's good, man. Man, as you're talking, man, of course there's plenty of points. Yeah. But the one point that really stuck out, man, was okay, you're on year number 4. So that means you've been in business a full 3 years. And 2 years ago, that means you had a whole business for about a year, or was working on a year, and you was dealing with all of this. Absolutely. How did you start a business?
Man,
you were able to think in a certain. This is crazy. Yeah. What was your mind at?
So when we started the business, I was drinking, and now I was still probably in that mode of hiding it from my family. A minute.
No way.
Yeah, I was still in that mode of hiding it, and so it wasn't as evident that I was dealing with what I was dealing with, and so for the first year, man, we rocked along. It was me and Me and my wife and another guy, well, two other guys. There was four of us working the business. And for the first 6-7 months, everything was good. But then that last 5 months, probably, man, I just started hitting it even harder as far as drinking. And we survived that first year, I would say. And we did well. I would have to say we did well because of the people I had working around me.
Yeah, man.
Right? You know, I could talk numbers. You know, the first year we did $1.2 million in sales the first year. Done really well. But I would say, so that was, when we started January 2021, the business. In January 22 is when I basically crashed, you know, and that line was drawn in the sand. We were kind of twiddling our thumbs wondering, okay, what's going to happen next? Because things had kind of slowed down. It was the winter time, you know, we just didn't know. And so we survived that first year, but then whenever that happened, we were kind of wondering what we were going to do next, to be honest with you. And so when I sobered up, this is God doing for me what I can't do for myself. Okay.
Come on. Yeah.
So when I sobered up and I quit drinking, that March, again, we were still struggling. And I was like, okay, we got about a month left or we're going to have to shut the doors. But I was clear-minded. I was getting healthier. And then April the 11th of 2022, a major hailstorm hits.
Wow.
And here I am clear-minded, and I can actually focus, and I can lead the company. And because of that storm, again, like I said, God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I love that saying because He's done it all my life. But I can see it now, and I can realize it. So when that storm hit in April of 2022, man, it was just like, okay, let's get it. Let's go, you know, and let's do what we're supposed to do. I'd kind of had a rebranding in my own mind of who I am, and what purpose I had, because I knew that this was God giving me an opportunity to not waste. I didn't want to waste anything, and so that second year we went from, you know, that first year we did $1.2 million in sales. That second year we did 3.6. And so
nothing but the Lord, man.
Nothing. And that's what I tell people all the time. It's, you know, He gives us tools, right? He gives us tools and He gives us ability.
That's right.
And what are we going to do with it?
That's right, man.
So anyway, that first year business, man, it was just like, I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, how do we even make it? I know how we made it, but
man, definitely.
But it's like, you know, I probably had no business to start a business at that point in time.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. So I know, we went into that, like, you were dealing with what you're dealing with starting a business, but, and then at the beginning when you first started talking, you mentioned about like you wanted to do it differently than who you were working for. Yeah. So how long were you actually in the roofing business?
Yeah, so about 3 years prior to that.
Okay.
Yeah, about 3 years prior to starting Hometown
That's
Roofing.
crazy.
Yeah. You know, I always had, man, again, you know, goes back to, I think, you know, the things that happened to me when I was younger and just having those insecurities. And if I'm being 100% transparent, man, you know, there was a time in my life where I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it my way.
Okay.
Right. And, you know, and I didn't want to answer to people. I didn't want to be responsible or accountable to other people.
Wow.
Right. Now I'm accountable to people every day.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, and like I said, there's been such a mind shift and a transformation there that if you don't have accountability in your life, then, you know, it's not going to be, for me, it can't be something that turns out positive. I have to have accountability. And so anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I just get thinking about that, but doing it differently. You know, a lot of people don't know this probably, or they may, but like in the industry that I'm in, addiction runs prevalent.
No way.
Yeah, it's
This
big.
is deep, man.
Yeah, runs prevalent, whether it be alcohol or whether it be drugs or whether it be whatever. But addiction runs prevalent, and so here I am in the middle of an addiction and doing this in this industry, and I'm just fitting in.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. It's not even when I was in my addiction, I didn't want to be there. You know, but I just didn't. I didn't know how to get out of it.
That's right.
You know, and so, but in this industry, it runs prevalent, and so I definitely want to do it differently. Don't want to be that. Don't want to be that, and so, you know, I think we can. We're able now to. Pretty cool, because I've had people that work for me currently that's dealt with some addictions, and we've been able to help them through those things. You know, and being able to, you know, get them the help that they needed, still employ them, get them through it, and now, you know, they're doing well. You know,
That's cool,
so
man.
instead of just kicking them out the door and saying you got to go on and find something else to do, right? So, you know, I think mercy and grace goes a long way, as long as people don't take advantage of it. You know, I think if we look at it personally, how often do we take advantage of God's mercy and grace?
Come on.
Right?
That's good.
So, so I have to look at it that way too.
That's right, man.
You know?
That's cool, man. You have been able to bring people on that have been in this addiction.
Yeah.
You've been through it. That's a ministry there.
Yeah,
in itself.
absolutely.
And then you're able to even use them to be able to pray for people.
Yep.
And, you know, do the things you all are doing. That's big, man.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at just the workplace in general, anywhere you go, you know, a lot, you know, depending on who you're employed by, but, you know, a lot of these big industries and big businesses, you're just a number to them.
That's right.
Right? You're just a number to them. At Hometown Roofing, we're small enough, and we're family, for one. I think we're family, but also with that means our hands get dirty sometimes.
Right.
But that's okay, because everybody's going through something.
That's right, man.
Everybody.
I always like to say, what is it? If you're either going through a storm, coming out of one, or about to go into one. I always like that, man. I don't know where I heard that from, but it's just the truth.
It is. It is,
man. It's the truth. But this is cool. I'm wondering, and I know the listeners are wondering as well. Okay, roofing. Where did roofing even come from? Because we're just looking at not even 10 years.
Yeah. Again, let me go back to that saying, God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself, bro.
Because, like, okay, I'm sure, you know, you graduated high school
30 years ago. Yep.
30 years ago. You was really only going to school to play football.
Yep.
Okay. What happened after that?
So,
because we didn't even,
being an average student, I had a 2.8 grade average when I graduated high school. Okay.
That ain't bad.
Being an average student, playing football, I surrendered to the ministry in high school, and I went to college at CBC on a full ride scholarship with a 2.8 grade average. And
say what?
Yep, full ride. It was an endowed scholarship that they offered. I applied for it and I got it. So I go to school at CBC, and gonna pursue ministry, be a preacher.
No way.
Yep, be a preacher. So anyway, I get to, and of course my dad and my stepmom, they knew I wasn't ready for college, you know, but it came moving day. It's time to move into college. Everything was ready to go, and I was ready to hit the door. I was ready to get out of the house, right?
Yeah, man.
So it was move-in day, and man, my parents knew I wasn't ready. Matter of fact, they called the college and said, "Hey, listen, he ain't ready."
No, they did.
They did. They sure did. Small school.
It's
everybody
different back in the day, wasn't it?
Listen, small school, and everybody knew everybody at that college, and we all had connections there, and so they called him, and I just recently found this out. So they called him and said he's not ready, and they said, well, we'll just have to give him a chance, let him try to grow up a little bit. Well, if they knew what they were doing, they would have said, yeah, you're probably right. But so I go in my full ride, and I flunk out my first semester. Didn't go to class.
No.
Started drinking. That's when it happened. That's when it started.
Dang.
That's when it started. So anyway, just yeah. So 30 years. So anyway, and man, I rocked around life for about 2 years. Even after that, you know, I job to job, here to there, and all that. You know, knowing, but I didn't go back home. Right, I didn't move back home. Wasn't doing that. I did for about a week, maybe 2, and I thought, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
wasn't gonna work. So I got out and I started working, you know, just odd jobs, and you know, I love to be around sports, and so I'd umpire. I got into umpiring and stuff like that, you know, on the weekends, during the week, softball stuff, and so, you know, but then I don't know, I got an itch to go back to college. And
what? Okay.
Yeah, got an itch after about 2 years. Got an itch to go back to college, and so anyway, went back to CBC and met my wife.
No way.
Met my wife.
That's what I'm talking about.
She's from Michigan. She moves to Arkansas, goes to college, and I meet her.
What?
And so anyway, and again, still drinking. You know, she didn't know. Wasn't drinking around her and all that stuff. You know,
now,
she didn't
just
know.
For clarification.
Yep.
Did you said this is a Christian college?
Yeah.
And that's where you found drinking.
Yes.
And you met your wife there.
Yes.
Hey, God is something else.
Yes. So, you know, I know. So, drinking has probably been part of my life most of my life.
Wow.
I never saw my dad drink, but looking back, before he married my stepmom, I know he was drinking. I think you know, it's part of our genetics or whatever, you know, probably a lot of that. But anyway, but yeah.
Met your wife.
Met my wife, man. She'd tell this story if she was here. She was like, yeah, we met, and I basically, man, when I went back to college that second time, I hadn't cut my hair in, I don't know, about 2 years. I hadn't shaved in about 2 years.
Wow.
I mean, she was like, and she moves from Michigan, and she's going to college here, and she was like, that's one of them mountain men that everybody was talking about, warning me about, you know, and so she didn't really have anything to do with me. And, you know, we were hanging around in the same friend group.
Yeah.
And anyway, one morning I just woke up and I said, I'm going to shave my head and I'm going to shave my beard. And I did, and went down to eat breakfast or lunch or whatever. And she looked at me and she was like, who are you?
No.
It was like instant, like just a change. Now I'm not that scary looking dude.
Yeah.
And she was able to carry on a conversation with me at that point in time, you know.
Wow.
So anyway, funny story.
So the hair was blocking your game.
Yeah, it was. I didn't have much game to begin with,
Right.
you know. So anyway, I needed some help. But
That's it.
so anyway, so
just like that.
Yeah. And it was pretty cool, man. Just, you know, my wife and I really never dated. We just hung out. We were friends. We were, you know, man. And it was organic. It really was, you know, and cool. So it was just really cool.
Yeah, they say that's how it lasts, man.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, we met, you know, of course, you know, I wasn't completely honest with her because I was still drinking, you know, and
dang.
Anyway, so, but then again, I knew if we was going to get married that I needed to stop. So I did. I quit for 20 years now. I was probably angry. I was probably what they consider a dry drunk because I didn't do anything about the hurts that I had in my life. I just quit drinking.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, and so anyway, she's put up with a lot. She's endured a lot, you know, in 25 years. But
yeah, we'll definitely have to get y'all on the Jesus and Juice podcast.
Yeah, we can tell some stories.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. Yeah. Man. But anyways, man, I'm still curious.
So
the job.
Okay. Yeah. So whenever my wife and I decided, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get married, right? So somebody had to go to work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. She was in school. She was more of a she was a lot better student than I was. So I said, I'll go to work. You know,
So
and
you
so
quit school.
I quit school and I worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time, and I started working at the Conway Human Development Center. You know, it was a state job, benefits.
Yeah.
You know, didn't pay worth nothing, but it was a job.
Yeah.
You know, and it was 40 hours, and then I would leave there, and I would either mow yards or umpire or whatever. You know, just
Be
so
on the side, just
yeah. And she worked at Cracker Barrel. She was the cashier at Cracker Barrel. You know, I mean, we were both working, but like, I knew if we were going to make it, I needed to be a provider, you know. And so I did. I'd work 2 or 3 jobs all the time. They were probably for the first, goodness gracious, 5 or 6 years of our life. I was working 2 or 3 jobs, you know, at all time, you know.
Man.
So
this
anyway,
is good. We can definitely stop there. I get it.
yeah,
You know, you just been odd jobs, just working.
yeah.
But I'm curious of like this, where some of your experience came from, and where this drive came from. This drive.
Yeah. So
First question is, who taught you, hey, when you get married, to provide? Like, where did that come from?
You know, my dad, because he went to work every day, you know, single dad, and
made it happen.
You know, I'll be honest with you, I had a hard time learning that, because I tell people all the time, you know, when my dad and my stepmom got married, it was like, I don't know, I kind of grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't have to do a lot, you know. And maybe, I don't think that that's what they taught me. I think that's just the way I thought things were, right? I don't think that that's it. I don't want them to be the blame for me just, you know, drifting through life. It wasn't their fault. It was me, because, you know, I didn't get everything I wanted in life, but I definitely didn't go without.
That's right.
You know, but they would, you know, they went to work every day. I mean, never missed a day, you know, always at work. I would say that I probably learned some good things there, but also learned some bad things there, because my dad was never happy where he was working. Never.
Wow.
Always, you know, nothing was ever good enough, you know. And so that's probably why I drifted from job to job, you know, because I kind of had that mindset. Well, you know, so and so did this. Well, you know, and just, you know, well, what I have learned is that as long as I keep my side of the street clean and I do what I'm supposed to do, then what everybody else thinks is not, or what everybody else does is not, you know, not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
I just got to do what I got to do, right? And not let what other people do affect me. But anyway, so there were several things that I learned there. But as far as that drive, you know, I just look back. They never missed work. You know, they were always there. You know, and I would say that that's something that whether it was organic or whether it was just like, okay, this is just part of life. You got to go to work. You know, it's what we do. You know, but that was definitely shown to me. You know, I don't remember either one of my parents ever calling in sick.
Wow.
To work. And I missed 3 days this last week because I was sick. But I was sick. But, you know, but you know, I never remember. I can't remember them ever missing work. It was just, that's just what you do. You know,
keeping it moving.
Keep it moving. So I can look back on that. And you know, my dad worked in the factory. He worked in, you know, and he worked at the bus factory in Conway, and you know, he worked several factories, but for the last probably, I don't know, 15 years of his career, that's what he did. And then my mom, she's probably, I can't remember how many years in the banking industry. She's still working.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's still 30, maybe 40 years in banking.
Wow.
You know, and she's been in one of those that has been so instrumental to me to just kind of know other than the high school education, and she's been a vice president of a bank.
Wow.
Right. You know,
yeah,
so
man.
Just getting in there, grinding, working hard, you know, being loyal to your people that you work for and work with, you know, I mean, she's worked her way up, man. And now in the last 5 years, she got it. She's not the vice president of a bank anymore, but she's actually doing what she really loves. She's actually in new accounts and customer service. She loves people, and she deals with community. You know, now she's in the community all the time, and so that's who she is. To pivot. Yeah, and she did. She called me the day she got let go from the vice president job she had, and she was crying. She was like, "I've never been fired. I've never been let go." And I just said, "Man, best thing ever happened to you," because I knew who she worked for.
Yeah, man.
And I was like, "Listen, don't worry about it. You're going to have a job before this week's up." And before the day was up, she had 3 job offers.
That's crazy,
right? So, anyway, yeah. So.
Man.
So just work ethic. I mean, her work ethic has probably been something that I can say, yeah, absolutely. That's where I probably got a lot of my drive there.
Man, your parents were really like that example for you.
Yeah, cool. You know, I think, and I don't want to hang on this one very long. I think, you know,
definitely.
But like with my mom, I needed that mother figure. You know, I didn't have that. My dad, like I said earlier, it was like walking around on eggshells. I mean, it was like he was never happy. He was always angry, bitter about stuff. And so, you know, I learned a lot of stuff from him good, but I also learned a lot of bad. You know, so we're products of our environment, right? So, I owe a lot to my dad as far as being there. He didn't leave me, right? He didn't leave. Like when my mom left, he was there. He provided, you know.
Yeah.
Physically, but also there was a lot of there was a lot of emotional damage between he and I
understand.
You know what I'm saying? So we got it corrected before he passed. You know, so before he passed away, we got it corrected. But you know, it was like one of the. I mean, I could never. It was one of those things we could never be around each other very long because it was just going to blow up. He wasn't going to let things be good.
Wow.
You know, and so. It was just like I said, but you know, like I said, people go through stuff. Everybody's going through stuff, right? Man. And so, tough, you know, and that's probably part of the reason why I fell into the addiction as hard as I did was because I was still dealing with that too. You know, when he passed away, I fell into it because I didn't feel like we had any kind of closure, to be honest with you. And so, you know, I use that as an excuse.
Yeah,
right.
We use everything as an excuse, right?
Anyway, but yeah.
Whew.
So
man, I know a whole lot more about you, man. A little deeper, man.
Yeah.
This is really good. I'm just thinking now, like fast forward, back to now.
Yeah.
Okay, based on all your past, like, what challenges are we having now, whether it's personal or business, that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, listen, open book, you know, I don't, you know, I think transparency is a good thing. One thing I have learned in our business is that we are pretty dadgum transparent with the things that we do in our business.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes when you're such a close-knit family and work with the people that we have working for us, too much transparency is a bad thing.
It really is.
Right, and so that's something that we're learning. That's something that we're learning, and I think that that's something that's helping us grow even more.
That's good.
But you know, man, just I think that for me personally, man, what I struggle with personally is like, okay, and I don't do this very often, but like, you know, I think about the people that work for us more than anything. Man, we've been blessed. Everything's going fairly well with the business. There's some things obviously that we can always do better.
Right.
But I think about the people that work for us. Are we doing well enough for them? Are we doing our part for them? You know,
service mindset.
Yeah. So, you know, we've gone through a lot of changes the last 3 months. A lot. It really took my attention away from probably away from the mindset of how do we grow, but not necessarily. It's more of how do we grow healthy.
That's right.
Right. And in the last 3 months, we've had a lot of changes. And so that's been a struggle for me because we've had to make some very hard decisions. We've had to let people go.
Yeah, man.
And that sucks. I'll be 100%. There was times I would 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning be up laying in bed and be like, golly, I got to do this today,
Dang.
and I'd find an excuse not to do it, but knowing I needed to, and that, but we finally got there. We made some of those hard decisions, some of those shifts in the business, so we can be healthier, so we can grow healthier, because we grew so fast, man. That was the problem. We grew so fast. Which is a good thing, but if it's not handled the correct way, then it'll be something that destroys the business. We made a couple of decisions and got involved with a couple of things that, we were taking people at their word, and they just didn't come through, and it put us in a bad spot, and so, one of them being on the employee side and the other one being in the business side. I mean, we made, and so financially it put us kind of in a predicament that we were like, oh gosh, now what? But again, we worked through all that.
That's good, man.
So
God is good.
Yeah.
Man. That's something cool, man. But yeah, man, I like asking that question.
Yeah.
The challenges now.
Yeah.
Like you said, everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Man. And I would say now that we have, in which we're either going through or about to go through something, right? I mean, you made that point a while ago. So, right now there's a lot of freedom that we didn't have 3 months ago. Probably setting us up for the next challenges to go through. I think it's kind of like a building block. It just kind of keeps it building, and so I know there's some other challenges that we're going to face. I mean, we're trying to get into some new things in the industry this year, and are we going to be able to? What's it look like, and are we going to be successful with it?
Like,
So,
yeah, man, that was going to be my kind of next question. Like, is there anything new? And of course, we got to do like a quick little ad for you to promote.
Yeah.
And you can just look in the camera and just kind of tell them your name again and your phone numbers or email, whatever you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Hometown Roofing, I'm Robert Branscombe. 501-581-7235 is our phone number. We provide any kind of metal and shingle roofing. We're also looking to get into roof maintenance contracts. So if you want to have your roof looked at and inspected a couple times a year, we can come and do that. We'll clean your roof off. We'll also do gutter cleaning. That's something that it's a new, area of the business that we're getting into this year, and also a small commercial business. We're going to be doing some of that too. So, would love to help you with any of your roofing needs, to be honest with you. So just give us a call.
That's good, man. So, man, just kind of moving forward, and really the last question, man, I like to ask people. Well, last two, rather.
Okay.
Like, is there anything that we missed or any gem about life or business that you would like to leave on the table?
Yeah, so I would say this is something that I was thinking about a while ago. 30 years, right? Been in this industry for about 7 now, so for 23 years. Going through life with not really a purpose. Does that make sense?
That's good.
When I left the job that I had to go into roofing, I was actually a chaplain for the state of Arkansas. And I enjoyed my job, but my addiction had started back, and I'd found myself in a dark spot. I'd done about 100 funerals in about a year, right? And I felt like, man, is this really my purpose? Do funerals all the time, So for that 23 years, man, I just struggled. I didn't really feel like I had a purpose. And when I got into the industry 7 years ago, first of all, the money was great with me being a sales guy, and it motivated me because I wasn't living check to check anymore. Right? It's funny how money does that, right? It's just it's not the love of it. It's just like, gosh, I can breathe a little bit financially. But so I was driven by that, but then seeing the way things were done and not really caring about people. I mean, our job is to love God, and love each other. What does that mean?
Yeah.
When you look at that word love, it's love as Jesus loved. And so I finally found my purpose. And I found, even growing up in church, even surrendering to the ministry, even being a pastor of churches, I didn't understand that. It was just doing it out of duty, not desire. So now I get to my purpose is to serve with desire and not out of duty.
That's good.
And so I would say that find your purpose. And I think we all have a pretty similar purpose if we keep things in the right perspective.
That's good.
Right? Is to love God and love others, and do it with a service heart and with best intentions. My mama said my intentions always going to get me in trouble. She's right. There's got to be some limits there, right? There's got to be some limits there. But the purpose is we have to find our purpose. And I finally found the purpose, even through my addiction. Isn't that weird?
That's something.
Isn't that crazy? Found my purpose through my addiction. God used my addiction for that, right?
He did.
So I would say that, man, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, because it is what we do is it's a full-time ministry.
That's awesome.
And
that's good. And I know, man, transitioning to the next question, I know you all, we didn't talk about it, but you all have given a certain things or whatnot.
Yeah. So
name a few of those real quick.
So every job that we do at Hometown Roofing, we give back. We call it Hometown Give Back. It's something that I don't know who come up with it. Was it the Gen Z or what, or millennials maybe? But something took place probably 10 years ago where people do, when they start businesses, they want to start businesses so they can give back. I mean, that's something that has just, I don't know, maybe in the last 15 years has really become
a big thing,
a big deal, right? It's so what we, and I would agree with that. I think that's a great business practice, is to give back, into your community and stuff like that. So what we do every month, we actually take what we make, or what our profits are, and we give back a percentage back into the community. Some ways that we've done that is through recovery programs. That's a huge deal with me, right? We give back to recovery programs. I'm going to plug one real quick, if you don't mind.
No, do you?
Hope and Compassion Ministries in Conway, Arkansas. Greg Hogan is actually he helps people with their addictions, and he also helps people with some spiritual things that they have going on. Doesn't charge a dime.
Wow.
It's, he donations accepted, but he doesn't take a paycheck for this. And so he has actually helped me. He's helped people in my family directly. We actually, when people go see him, we know it costs money for him to stay open. We write a check to him every so often, because it's important to us for people to get the help that they need. Right. So that's one of them that we do. We actually, local ball teams, we help sponsor local ball teams, but sending kids to camp, but what we want to do in the future is also give back to like the police departments, the fire departments, in our communities, anywhere we do work. Like, we work all over the state of Arkansas. Yeah. And so we want to give back to every community that we work in.
That's awesome.
And so that's something that we're looking at and trying to put a plan together on how do we do that. Because I mean, man, we've done a lot of work in Marion, Arkansas, West Memphis, Arkansas. There's areas that they need help with, and and dealing with recovery programs, or whatever the case may be.
That's good.
But every month we do that. We give a percentage back of what we make, and that's so awesome. To date, I mean, I don't know what we've given to date, but I'm so grateful because
that you're able,
that we're able to, and so it's not anything that I want to be as humble as we can possibly be, because it's not our money anyway,
Yeah, man,
it's God's money, and so that's the way we want to do. And whoever started that idea to give back, in businesses, man, that was an awesome thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where it started. I don't know where it originated. It's probably been done for a lot longer than 20 years, but for it to become public and people doing it, really making it, you know, it's pretty cool.
No, the money has to. It's just gonna run around. It's a great way to do it. Some people may be like, well, tax write off. Everybody know about taxes now, but it is what it is.
If I give and I'm thinking about taxes when I give, I'm not giving for the right reasons.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna lay that out there right now because that's one of my pet peeves. We don't give to get.
Come on, that's good. See, I'm glad I said that for you to say that because that was perfect.
Right.
But man, I asked that original question about what you all giving and stuff. That last question I'm thinking about is like, who right now do you think that you want to be in partnership with, either on that level to give or on a level of, hey man, I need some help in this area, or hey, I would like to partner with you and do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
What kind of person can you think of, even if you don't even know that it exists?
Yeah, I would say so. Networking is a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we are big in networking. You know, we've got people that we network with all the time. But I would, for us personally, I would say I would love to network with some real estate agents.
Okay. Real estate agents
on the business side of things, right? Because there's a lot of times where, you know, they're selling a house and their roofs aren't in great shape. We can offer a service to them. We can, and we'll, if somebody's got a roof, we'll come out and do an inspection and it won't cost them anything. We'll just look at it, you know. And I know when they're selling houses, they get, you know, these home inspectors to do all that stuff. I get that. But we can do it at no cost for them. But, you know, and if the homeowner needs the new homeowner is going to need a new roof, you know, we're just trying to protect them too.
That's
good.
So,
but if they don't, then that's awesome too. But, you know, real estate agents, and I would say maybe even new home builders. One thing that there's a lot of new construction going on, but I would say that, you know, I'm going to be careful with the way I say this. A lot of times we probably don't want to just be there and put a new roof on for somebody that's probably more. We want to be the company that does more custom homes, probably, because the quality of shingles, the quality of work that we do is not the cheapest.
Right.
Okay. We're going to charge a little bit more for what we do when it comes to a new home, but when the homeowner gets into that house, they're not going to have to worry about their roof integrity.
Yeah.
You know, and so probably more of a custom home builder. You know.
I got you. Because, well, we don't have to talk about it. Well, I'll say it, I know maybe not you, but it's known that the Roush Coleman homes are made cheap. Okay, and I can only imagine thinking about what kind of shingles they're putting on those houses. But we don't have to go there. But I get it with being custom. You know what I'm saying? For those that don't know, maybe that wouldn't include that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But man, we got to get you on again though to talk about the politics and stuff in the whole roofing industry. I know we was talking about that once, but hey, y'all be looking for that one. I don't know when that'll come, but one day, and you and your wife, that'll be dope. But man, thank you. You got something else before we leave?
Real quick,
let them
listen,
know.
One thing, and I know this is, I appreciate Swan. I appreciate you having me come out, and you know what you have been able to help us with, and actually help us kind of focus on some things with our business has been tremendous.
You ain't just saying that.
No, I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. Again, I go back to that, God doing for me what I can't do for myself, because I mean, crap, we're not marketing gurus. We have no idea what, you know, I mean, I didn't go to school for this, right? And so for you to come alongside us and help us with this is awesome. And the second thing is that I have to say, this dude designed a heck of a truck wrap for us. And I hadn't even mentioned it to him yet today because I saw it yesterday and I was like, oh my goodness, blown away.
Awesome.
So anyway,
it, man.
He does good work.
That's awesome. Man, yeah, thank y'all for listening. Yeah, it's just another episode. You know, we're diving deep. We're getting to know people. It's not all about the design, although, hey, yeah, I do some great design, but it's deeper than that, man.
Yeah.
We just want to share that and let people know, hey, they're not the only ones dealing with stuff,
Right.
because everybody's dealing with something, right? So this was good, therapeutic, right?
Yep.
Any last words or Facebook? I mean, y'all, they can follow them on Facebook.
So you can follow us on Facebook, Hometown Roofing LLC on Facebook. You can actually go to hrroofer.com, check out the website. Any questions that you may have, like I said, we're here, man. We want to be. I mean, we were voted best of the best in Faulkner County the last 3 years. We want you guys to know we are here for you guys, for your roofing needs, and what you're going to get with us is honesty, integrity, and compassion. That's what you're going to get. So we appreciate everybody trusting us so far in this short journey that we've been on. Hopefully we'll be in this journey for a long time. So
That's
anyway,
good. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.